Hi. I want to talk about the control of Zionists of the world research on the Middle East and so on. I've noticed that practically all the major contributors to think tanks and academic organizations and institutes and academies and so on, they all seem to be Zionists, and they seem to have a full spectrum control over these opinion forming groups who seem to have a monopoly of advising the government on how to relate to the Middle East. Now, what is interesting is that most of these people do not declare their interest, i.e. they use average-sounding European or American names, but they do not disclose the fact that they're Jewish, or more particularly that in most cases they are Zionists, and their political viewpoint and their agenda will obviously impact upon the quality of their research. And for me, this is something that needs to be called out. The majority of the think tanks of the Western world in the United States and in the UK and Australia are controlled by people with strong links to Israel. And most of these think tanks produce work which suggests that a strong line needs to be taken against Muslims, and that they're a threat and a danger, and Iran needs to be dealt with a firm hand, and preferably through military action. And Israel would prefer if the West did the military action, because that would then cost them no money. It would require Western lives, cost Western gold, but it would be free of charge for Israel, and then they would then create a problem between Muslims and the West. Their plan so far has worked perfectly. From a Machiavellian point of view, they have succeeded perfectly in implementing this plan. 9/11, 7th of July in London, both of these events were planned with the Israeli involvement. Not to say that Israel is exclusively involved. Obviously, they have plenty of helpers. Israel as a state is not short of money. It has more or less a bottomless purse. When you print money, you can pay off anyone you like. But some of us do find this disagreeable. And, when millions of people have been killed based upon basically a pack of lies, this really sticks in my throat. Find that very hard to accept. We need to take action against these criminals. The UK, America, and Australia all have numerous operatives who advise the government on foreign policy issues, the Middle East, and on alleged threats. And they are not true researchers, because a true researcher will look for the truth. These people are paid to pretend to look for the truth, whilst all along having a specific target in mind. They don't start in the normal way. I think it's scholastic reasoning. It's called. I learnt that word today, where you take you start with the end result, and then you work backwards and fit your facts to suit what you wanted to say in the beginning. So the bottom line is this: we're being taken for a ride. These people are frauds, and they are damaging our nation. They are wasting our money, and they're costing lives. And what's worse is that all this money and life that's been lost is not making the world a safer place. Like any normal person, I might be persuaded that war was necessary if I really truly believed that after the horrible war we might finally get a few years of peace. But the war doesn't work. The policies don't work, and they're not designed to work. because war is great business. High oil prices are a result of war, and high oil prices means more profits for the oil companies. The people who advise the Americans on their foreign policy are the same people who work on behalf of the oil companies and the armaments companies. The United States has a gigantic military industry. It's one of the very few things that America does well. They create some of the top machines for killing people. Very, very expensive, but they've really specialized in this. I think they might have been better if they'd had a consumer electronics industry or something like that, focused on quality food, these kind of things, affordable healthcare. These would be better things to spend your money on, but that doesn't interest the US establishment. It's a controlled government, totally out of control. Eisenhower warned years ago about the danger of the military-industrial complex. His warnings have fallen on deaf ears. Americans are still addicted to violence, but I'm not here to criticize America today, because I believe that practically every Western country is a victim of the same disease. We need to take out these charlatans, these frauds, these people who masquerade using false identities to promote warfare through fake think tanks such as the Lowy Institute, the Royal Institute of International Affairs, the Hudson Institute, the American Enterprise Institute, the Freedom Foundation, and so on. All these gangs are crooks. There is not any useful or justified use for them for the average person. They're there to be wheeled out onto the television with a nice fancy name. You call them this institute or that foundation, and the average person who really doesn't understand these issues is fooled into thinking that these people are impartial experts. They are nothing of the kind. They are paid propagandists, and their job is to encourage war and to persuade people, to brainwash the public into thinking that the planned wars are vital for the national interest. These were people who were wheeled out before the Iraq War and the Afghan War, and are now being used in America on a daily basis to persuade America that North Korea, Iran, and indeed China are a threat and need to have a military response. Because the truth is that America cannot pay its bills. It is running out of cash, and the only thing that keeps America, it's the threat of military action that forces the Americans, that forces the world to accept American domination. I don't think that's good for America, and it's certainly not good for other countries. People want to live in freedom. People want to be told the truth. The truth is an unpleasant thing. It is no pleasure to read the news and know what's going on. Horrible lies and crimes are being committed. I urge you to take a look at this issue. If you do research, if you read between the lines, whenever you read an opinion piece in a major newspaper, or whenever you see a guest on a TV show in America, write down the name of that person, and then go online and check their background. Then you will find out the tragic and sickening truth that these people are nothing but paid propaganda agents who have no impartiality and cannot be relied upon to tell you the truth, and are working on behalf of foreign powers. And these are the facts. I urge you to check for yourself. I wish you good night from where I'm, or good morning, good afternoon, as the case may be. But don't trust the government, that's what I'm saying. And do not trust the mass media, and do not, under any circumstances, think that people who claim to be working for this or that research institution are honest, honourable, or fact-driven. They are not. They are there to promote an agenda. Bye-bye.